This is Matt Donnelly here at TheWrap's 2017 South by Southwest interview studio at the Plexus Lodge in Austin, Texas. We are thrilled to welcome the filmmakers and the cast of A Critically Endangered Species. The premise, if you wouldn't mind, Zach, if you want to take us through just her,
Sure.
the intent.
The premise is a well-known novelist and poet, played by Lena, says on NPR during an interview that she is going to take her own life, and that because she has no children, her work is in decline according to her standards. She would like young, only male writers to drive up to her house, which is very remote, and compete for the...
You have my ticket money there.
Yeah, she would like them to compete to become her executor, the heir of her estate, which is worth a fair amount of money. So that's sort of that's the premise.
I mean, that's kind of an irresistible log line as an actress, right?
Yeah, and only looking like him. That was sort of the standard. Those are the guys that she wanted. No, but it's an extremely compelling character, and the fact that she's so unapologetic in her ways and she's certainly not sympathetic in any general standard, and she's outrageous, but I think she's just leading her life, and she's very lonely, and I think her desperation is that creativity is sort of, she doesn't feel that she's at her creative top anymore, and I think that's where her...
So is it sort of a balance? Do you think there's actual despair there, or is it sort of experimental and maybe trying to goose the work a little bit?
Well, I mean, I would say that by her suicide, whether it's a fact or a fib, we're never sure if it's invented or not. Right. She creates a sort of stage for herself, like a final performance, and boys are the boys that drive up to compete are her audience. Wow. I think she's a writer who's been missing an audience, and writers do need audiences. They're not as solitary as you would think.
Yeah, in a way it feels like sort of like you said, these romantic literary figures, but it's a very modern story too, the idea that it's on NPR and there's a sort of audition platform. Alex, what about your character? I mean, what in this young man wants to step up and be this executor?
I think, Paul is just so driven at just achieving and having so much success as a writer, and he feels that, he's done everything right in his life, and he's had all these opportunities and privilege, and it's not enough. It's like, he just struggles and his book won't get published, and he looks at Lena's character, Maya, and he's just like, you have all the success. Why do you want to commit suicide? And then gets kind of entrapped by her.
I can imagine something more develops, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's interesting that you said you found her outrageous and maybe not as sympathetic, and I think what's been amazing about being here this year and today is we've seen a lot of female filmmakers and male-female teams come through the door. Do you think about telling the story from the point of a woman who's an artist and maybe faces an audience that thinks of her in one way?
I mean, definitely, historically speaking, we have very few interesting, complex characters, especially in film. And this was one of the points of this story, was to portray a complex woman, which is extremely rare on screen and in life in America, unfortunately.
Yeah. We should mention Rosanna Arquette is a part of this film as well. Any she wants to fill us in on what she plays? I know she's a bit of an eccentric.
It was so amazing when she came up, because we felt like we were in this, because we stayed in a house in the mountains around San Francisco,
right? Yeah.
And we
so
felt
Netflix
like
will buy this.
It was a small crew, so we felt almost like this compound. We stayed and we brought up young men and one actor after the other, and it was like, oh, he was better than the first one. No, this is my favorite, and it was sort of an interesting feel of this whole shoot. And then Rosanna came up, and I fell in love with her. It was just such a great, because I know that we discussed in the beginning, could it be someone that you know well and a friend of yours, because it's important that they have this chemistry, that it's someone that she's really trusting. She trusts her and she's very close to her, and for some magic reason it just happened with her. The minute she got up there, we felt like, really, it was really wonderful.